I'm in the little itty-bitty village of Poling, West Sussex, just off the A27 between Angmering and Arundel today. I can tell you that when in 1977 the Sussex-born artist Phoebe Summers interviewed an ex-Poling resident for a series on the inhabitants of her native Sussex, he said with absolute conviction that Poling was the best place in the world to live. Let's go and check out Poling. A resident of note to mention too is a certain Sid Penn, who lived in Poling all his life and was the village carpenter and undertaker. Apparently Sid made his own coffin in much the same way John Oliver on Highdown Hill over yonder did, and kept his groceries in it. He also allegedly buried the family treasure in the garden when the village was bombed during the war. More of that later. I'm rather thrilled right now because it's not every day that you see a wall post box and a red telephone box at the same time. Poling is the setting for a popular ghost story among the folklorists of Sussex. The Knights Hospitallers of St John of Jerusalem founded a commandery here in the 12th century. Some of the building is now incorporated into a house known as Fairplace Farm or St John's Priory. And legend has it that many of the knights were buried in the grounds. Several people over the years have alleged to have heard a ghostly rendition of a Gregorian chant emanating from said spot, as if a spectral procession were approaching. An unidentified musical individual is even said to have transcribed what they heard onto paper and identified it as plainsong for a requiem service. Someone else even heard the 79th Psalm in Latin, all very peculiar. Hello, horse. An old water tank discarded in the graveyard. I watched a horror film called The Borderlands a couple of days ago, and if you've seen it you'll understand why I'm finding this church slightly unsettling. Hello, what's your name? I love the smell of a good horse. So I'm now just to the west of Poling village, and it's around here that land commandeered by the British military was used to construct a set of enormous pylons as part of the chain home radar system during the Second World War. I'm now standing on what was the base of one of these pylons, and thrillingly it looks like you can go inside too. I'd better get in there. The chain home, or CH for short, was the code name for a large ring of early warning radar stations erected around the coast that proved very useful during the war. The towers were obviously very noticeable and were often targeted by the Luftwaffe, hence why Mr. Sid Penn, who I mentioned earlier, buried his treasure in the garden when the Luftwaffe bombed Poling in the Second World War. Up until I learnt about this I thought, well, it's just a tiny little village, what reason would they have to bomb it? The pylons were still in place until 1958.